Sup Taiwan, I'm Reece with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's north coast is reeling from the effects of Typhoon Krathon, even as the storm itself has passed. John Van Trieste has this update.
It took over 50 firefighters several hours to free a man trapped behind this northern Taiwan house after a sudden landslide hit. He was clearing the muck Typhoon Krathon left in the space between his back wall and a mountain slope. Despite being pinned to the ground by a boulder, he was conscious and able to talk. To save him, firefighters had to tear down this wall.
从他姐姐家的这个房间的后侧呢，打穿这个墙壁，那将这个患者呢从这个缝隙当中把他救出来。那我们后续呢将这位林姓患者送到三军总医院进行相关的一个救治。
Scenes like this played out across northern Taiwan well into Friday. Though the typhoon made landfall on the opposite side of the island, it still brought record rainfall all the way here, enough to overwhelm even this famously rainy corner of the country. In the Ruifang district, where over 100 centimeters of rain fell in just 2 days, firefighters had to use a rope pulley system to send food to an indigenous village cut off by landslides, enough for the more than 100 residents trapped there. They also managed to help someone needing dialysis clamber down the mountainside using the same ropes to steady himself. Though everyone is fine for now, the community's leader says the storm damage has been immense. Even an important cultural space where locals hold their harvest festival was damaged.
蛮严重的，因为我们现在目前我们下面的那个石林仔啊，已经掏空了，快垮下来了，连那个广场也差不多了，只怕说又垮下来这样子。
And it isn't just the rural mountains suffering. The port city of Keelung has seen major landslides in residential areas, leaving people there frightened.
我要上去砍树的时候，就突然间土石流下来，我们4个摩托车赶快爬逃下来啊！我们被土石流追着下来呢。你的车在上面。
Although the storm itself has dissipated, its effects may be felt for a long time to come. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A farmer in the rural southeast has died after being swept away by floodwaters caused by Typhoon Krathon. He and one other person fell into a drainage ditch they were trying to clear of tree branches and other debris. He was swept away and later found dead with head injuries. His companion managed to pull himself out of the water, suffering a broken arm. Taiwan's 2025 budget is stalled again. That's after opposition lawmakers insisted on sending it back to the cabinet for revision. Rick Glowett has more on how Taiwan's split government is making politics problematic in the country.
Taiwan's government is struggling to pass its budget for 2025. That's as the legislature, which is in the hands of 2 opposition groups, the Kuomintang or the KMT and the Taiwan's People's Party, the TPP, once again refuses to pass it, effectively tossing it back to cabinet. This is now the second time they've done similar action, and they're opposing the budget largely on procedural grounds. They're saying that items included are not fully funded. Taiwan's premier, the leader of the cabinet, has called this stalemate regrettable and frustrating. Lawmakers on both sides of the fence are blaming party politics.
也希望我们的行政院能够真正的诚实面对问题解决问题，而不是想要利用拖延的战术。
就是希望能够让总预算现在赶快进来立法院，来进行细部的、详细的，而且是实质的审查，而不是现在流于政治上面的操作。
Ideally, the 2025 budget should be passed a month before the end of the year, so about the end of November. And so the clock is therefore ticking on this one. But don't worry, we're not going to see a US-style government shutdown. Most of all of the basic services have already been funded. But this is causing a headache for President Lai Ching-te as he looks to make good on some of his election promises, things like raises for public sector workers and funding his defense programs, such as building submarines domestically. 6 months into his time in office, this split government and hostile legislature proving a real test for the president. Ryan Wu and Rick Glowett in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Supreme Court has upheld the life sentence given to a man who killed, robbed and raped a woman in 2014. The murderer, surnamed Liu, was given the death sentence in 4 previous verdicts, but after several appeals, the court ruled his crime was not premeditated. Under Taiwanese law, such random killings do not carry the death penalty. In September, Taiwan's constitutional court ruled to keep capital punishment, but said it should only be used in the most extreme cases. Until recently, opium poppies were an important source of income for farmers in Afghanistan. But with the Taliban back in power and poppy cultivation banned, the country and its economy are feeling the effects of opium withdrawal. Bryn Thomas reports.
Things used to be easier for Afghan farmers like Asadullah. For much of the last 20 years, during the period spanning the U.S. occupation of his country, he harvested opium from the poppies he grew in his fields. When refined into heroin and sold on the black market, it provided a tidy living.
تقریبا په یو فصل کې موږ 10 لکه 12 لکه 10 لکه روپۍ عاید درلوده کنه ځکه چې اوس موږ 1 لک روپۍ عاید نشو برابرول.
Despite taxing opium to fund their 2-decade insurgency, the Taliban began enforcing a long-standing ban on its cultivation about a year after retaking power in 2021. This resulted in a 95% drop in harvests in what was once the world's largest producer of the drug. It's a drop that's hit farmers hard and at times sparked violent protests, like in May, when clashes between poppy farmers and soldiers sent to destroy their fields resulted in several deaths in the northeast province of Badakhshan.
موږ د افغانستان خلک نو ته معلومیږي چې غوښې ډېرې کاري غوړي ډېر کاري نو دا غم راکم کړي په خوا مو په 2-3 ورځې کې غوښې خوړلې اوس ما هغه کمې کړي په میاشت کې شپه.
The UN Office on Drugs and Crime says the poppy ban resulted in losses of over $1 billion for Afghan farmers last year. And while many have switched to legal crops like cotton, these don't pull in the same kind of money.
موږ غواړو چې تاریخ بیرته خلاص شي موږ یې وکړو موږ ژوند سم شي.
Not everyone is content to follow the rules. Some Afghans, like this imam, keep a stash of opium from their final harvest hidden away for a rainy day.
جمهوریت کې مکوله مکمل مو چاڅونه مزکه وزمر ده یعنی مکمل داسې و چې په 100% کې 80% موږ کوکنار کړل او 60% چې دی هغه موږ غنم کړل.
A fist-sized clump of resin, hidden like a wad of cash in a mattress, could cover the cost of a dowry or a wedding. Big financial burdens in a country where large families are the norm.
موږ وایي ګوند خدای ګران سي یو ولور چې پر مہر چې پر سړي باندې یو ولور باندې نو کېدای شي چې هغه موږ په دې باندې هغه ادا کړو د دې لپاره موږ خوندي کړي نو وایي څه به خامخا په کور کې خود سته.
But these illicit stashes of opium will eventually run dry, and the resulting hardship is already destabilizing the country. Videos on social media from May's clashes show farmers calling for an end to the Taliban government, one that their opium helped put in power. John Su and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
Turning fish into fashion might sound far-fetched, but for one group of women in Costa Rica, it's becoming an empowering new career path with sustainability at its core. Bringing in the catch of the day, this fisher's haul is not just destined for the dinner table. A much more glamorous fate awaits these fish. In this coastal town in Costa Rica, 70-year-old Marta Sosa prepares sea bass skin for use as fabric. She's one of 15 women who make up PL Marina, or the Marine Skin Cooperative, a startup all about turning fish into fashion.
Bueno, limpiar primero, después lo agarramos y lo lavamos con jabón y todo, como que estuviéramos lavando la ropa, ¿verdad? Y hacemos el teñido, lo teñimos con glicerina y alcohol y tinte, y después los ponemos en secado.
Housewives until a few years ago, Sosa and colleague Maureen Castro wanted to start bringing money in for the family. That's when they started to use fish skin to make leather, turning an animal byproduct into a sustainable source of fabric and providing these women with some financial independence.
Porque al principio no creíamos en este reto, porque decíamos como una piel, que es algo que se pone hediondo, que es un contaminante, va a llegar a ser materia prima para mujeres para poder salir adelante.
With training from Marine Resources NGO Mar Viva, the women have become artisanal tanners, selling fish skin fabric to textile factories and even producing their own bespoke line of jewelry.
Estamos ya cuando están listas, secas de viaje, porque las entablamos, y entonces nosotros hacemos las bisuterías, aretes, collares, pulseras y tenemos en el proyecto tenemos hacer bolsos y monederos también.
PL Marina's products are also a small part of a solution to a big problem. Fast fashion is a major global polluter, with one UN report finding that the fashion industry is responsible for 9% of all microplastics in the world's oceans. Confident in her unique and sustainable products, Castro has big dreams for her line of fishy fashion.
Ok, me gustaría que se viera en las pasarelas de Hollywood, me gustaría que se viera en Canadá, me gustaría que se viera en París, en las grandes pasarelas de París, donde están los grandes.
And with sustainable fashion a hot trend on international catwalks, this line of marine merchandise could be the next in vogue. Leon Lien and Reece for TaiwanPlus. Preparations are in full swing for Taiwan's National Day next week. Our reporter Sandy Chi went to a school in Taipei to see how one group of students have been training for the big day.
Chins up, smiles on, and ready to greet local and international guests in a variety of languages. These are the 22 students who have been handpicked to serve as ushers for Taiwan's National Day on October 10th. After undergoing a rigorous audition and selection process, they have been preparing for this day since August.
To become a National Day usher is no easy task. Their training requires to learn how to walk, talk, and present themselves in the most appropriate manner. So can you tell me, what was the most challenging part of the training?
So throughout the past 3 months of the practice, I would say the hardest part is to work on our public speaking skills and also oral conversation, because in our daily life we don't got this many of chances to practice our oral conversation skill.
The usher's job is more than just talking with guests and showing them to their seats. These students also underwent training to deal with emergency situations, including earthquakes.
我们礼宾人都会第一时间下去安抚现场的贵宾，也会有一位礼宾人去询问管制官是否要进行疏散。那如果有需要进行疏散的话，我们也会以最快的速度引导贵宾至凯达格兰大道进行避难。
立即疏散，请各位贵宾前往凯达格兰大道进行疏散。请各位贵宾立即前往凯达格兰大道进行疏散。
Besides training, the ushers' appearance is also very important, and that's all down to their uniform. The creator of this year's outfit is designer Liao Jialing, who is known as the Queen of Uniforms in Taiwan.
是以红色比较喜庆的颜色为主体，然后搭配了灰色还有宝蓝色。那首先在这个基底是以改良式的旗袍为基础。 可是呢，领子我就设计的比较现代、比较利落的感觉。
Now, as prepared as they can be, this year's squad of specially selected ushers will be hoping for a smooth, safe, and welcoming National Day. Klein Wong and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we leave you with images of Lebanese volunteers rescuing abandoned animals in Beirut. I'm Reece. Take care and see you next time.